All right, according to some reports, Fast and Furious 7 will use CGI and body doubles for Paul Walker's character, Brian O'Connor, to help complete the film. Supposedly, they have hired 4 actors with physiques similar to Paul's, and his face and voice will be used on top of them using CGI. As most of you know, Paul Walker died in a car accident back in November while on a break from filming Fast 7, which was in the middle of production. Jimmy, what do you think of this report and the possibility of using this method to finish the movie?
Well, it's not a new method. They've used this before. They used it for The Crow. They've used it in other times. I think he would want this film to be made. I want him to be a part of this film. I think it would be a nice legacy to his life, to his career. I want him to be a part of it. It makes sense to me. I'm sure they'll have to make some edits, but I'd rather than that than scrap his character altogether.
Okay. John, what do you think?
Look, this is trying to come up with an okay solution to an absolutely unwinnable situation. I mean, when you have a performer who is as important to the franchise as Paul Walker was, there is no quote-unquote right way to handle it. And it's just about finding the best possible thing you can do. And if they think they've come up with a good way to satisfyingly take Paul Walker out of the franchise, and in order to do that, look, we knew they'd have to do something, right? Whether it would be body double or using a little bit of CGI, because you can't just have him in the film and then all of a sudden inexplicably he's gone. With no rationale, no explanation, you can't do that. So what do? Well, there's very few options open to you. And while, you know, I'm not going to jump up and down about the idea of using CGI Paul Walker, what else were they going to do, really? I mean, it's making the best of a bad situation.
I personally am skeptical about this. I mean, Jimmy, you're right. This isn't a new method. They've used it before with Brandon Lee and The Crow. The difference is, though, The Crow is pretty much done. They just used him in a lot of action shots and wide shots. This is a whole different story. I mean, when Paul Walker passed away, they were only halfway through filming, and now they need to somehow weave him into the storyline and then kind of give him a nice send-off. And I appreciate the sentiment of it. I'm just worried that it's going to come off poorly.
But really, Dennis, what are the options? I mean, what's the alternative that presents themselves to them other than, like, say, starting the film completely from scratch and just not having Walker in it at all?
I mean, having not been able to read the script and I don't know what the story is, I don't know. But maybe there's a way story-wise they can weave it in where maybe halfway through the movie, like, he has to leave, you know? They can write it in and maybe use some of that CG and body double stuff, but use it limitedly. I don't know how good it's going to look if they decide, okay, well, we're just going to use him as much as possible. And, like, you know, is he going to be in the ending shot and he's like, you know, see you later, and it's like a CG face and whatnot?
Well, I mean, look at it this way. We both mentioned Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
Technically, they couldn't have done that years ago.
No.
Luckily, they didn't have to deal with that. Now we do have that technology, and I think they could pull it off pretty seamlessly. And I'd rather them do that than just rewrite it, redo it, start up from scratch.
And let's keep in mind too, they're not going to try to keep Paul Walker in the rest of the movie. They've already said they're going to quote unquote retire his character from the franchise. So what we're probably looking at is, like, maybe 2 scenes, like, this is just me speculating, but you're probably looking at something like 2 scenes that they just need to do something narrative-wise to explain to the audience why he's now not in the rest of the movie. And, I mean, as long as they're not trying to stretch him out into a half hour of new footage with CGI Paul Walker, I think they'll be okay.
Well, if it's the way you're talking about, yeah, that sounds perfectly reasonable. I'm just worried that they're going to try and stretch it like, all right, we can do anything we want with this now.
Not like Jeff Bridges and Tron, you know?
Yeah.
The chat board is a little split on whether they like the CGI Paul Walker as well. I've just kind of been going through, and some people are like, it'll be fine, and some people are pretty unsure. And then they're wanting to know why we didn't CGI John at the table today. Just throwing that out there.
Good question, John.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news, and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.